Good day, traders. Hope you guys are good, and welcome to this week's segment of our weekly market breakdown. So yeah, as some of you may notice, or some of you may have noticed, last week I took a break. But don't worry, nothing was happening in my personal life. I just felt like nothing much was happening in the market. So the market didn't give me any setup. So I didn't think that it was gonna be fair of me to just upload for the sake of uploading, even though I don't see anything going on in the market, right? I mean, even if you look at our VIP groups, I think I shared a signal on AUDJPY, which didn't go that well. But then we were able to take a trade on NASDAQ. So from my side, I don't see a lot of opportunities. I think maybe prices just, the market's just pricing going into the right levels, and then we can be able to take advantage of the markets. But the market has been very quiet for a very long time. But if you are part of our Telegram group, you will see that during the week, I was actually able to give you updates on setups that I shared in the previous weeks. So that's why I highly recommend that you join the Telegram group in order for you to be up to date with the setups that I share on the weekly market breakdowns, right? That's if you want to be up to date. If you don't care, then it's fine. But yeah, without wasting any time, let's get straight into the business of the day. Right now, we're currently on a level of supply. So supply is in control. If you can see right here, we have this fair value gap that was created in the previous month. And then we have this demand zone right here, which hasn't been tested, right? So you can see right here that we had a break of structure, and now we're waiting for a return to the order block, right? And that we also taken liquidity from these equal highs before going into this area of supply. So I don't necessarily think that this is the ultimate supply, or this is supply where we're going to get like our reversal. I actually do think that price has potential to go further to the upside to retest this level actually. But what I said 2 weeks ago is true. And I remember saying that, you know, when we're dealing with supply and demand levels, they can be untradeable or unfavorable in terms of trading, but for as long as they're not broken through, we still consider them to be valid. So I always say, or I remember saying this over and over again, that validity of a zone is not the same as tradability. So you should always, when you're identifying or when you're grading zones, be able to differentiate between those two concepts. So this could be a valid area because it hasn't been broken through, but does not necessarily mean that it's going to yield high probability trades, right? Because there's still a level above it. Price has to still take out this liquidity. Well, it's not really like a equal liquidity, right? I think when we go to a lower time frame, we'll see that this is actually an induction of some sort. You understand? But currently, because the supply hasn't been broken through, let's work under the assumption that price will respect it, right? So the question, what if the market respects it, right? We've graded it and it seems like a decent level to trade from, right? So what's the next step? We have this gap to fill. Like I said, we have this demand. So what I see happening is maybe the market coming into this demand zone and then going to the upside. So on the weekly, you can see that we have this gap that was created here. I don't know if I should zoom in. And then we also have this zone, weekly zone, right? I think the only thing that I don't like about this zone is the fact that it has a lot of basic candlesticks. So this is one of the things that disqualifies it as a high probability level. And also there's liquidity, before I move on, there's liquidity above this, right, this order block, immediate liquidity. So the market definitely has incentive to take out this liquidity and maybe go here. But like I said, for as long as it's still valid, for as long as the market hasn't broken through it, right? So now, because of high time frame zones are in control, what are we looking for on the lower time frames? On the lower time frames, we're looking for a change of structure. So on the higher time frames, we have zones being in control. On the lower time frame, what we want to see is a change of structure. That's the more conservative approach, especially if you are trading against a higher time frame, what you call this, a higher time frame trend. Here we have a break of structure. We have a break of structure and unmitigated demand. So our nested demand is this one. I genuinely don't see any other, you know, I genuinely don't see any other zone, you know. So I do believe that maybe it will hold, right? It's still fresh, hasn't been tested. Market breaks below this zone. There's still areas of liquidity, but we'd have to wait for those. So I see that we're currently in this situation over here, right, where the market hasn't really tested like the higher time frame zone. And to be quite frank with you guys, it doesn't necessarily have to touch it, right? Because there's some orders from that fair value gap, if you paid attention, that this has already filled. So one of two things can happen. Either we can take out these equal highs, go down, right, take this trade, or take the more conservative approach, which is, like I said, if you are counter trend, if you're trading counter trend movements, your best bet for getting higher probability trades is waiting for a change of structure. A change of structure through us breaking below this low. So we want the market to break through this low, the market to come here, testing on the block. And yeah, so those are the two scenarios that I see on AUDJPY. Please bear in mind that both of these scenarios are low probability because of the counter trend conversation. So if the market breaks through the zone, then we're having a different conversation, right? But because we working with what we have right now, which is the zones are still valid, the zone is still in control, we can't necessarily conclude that the market will break through them, unless, of course, we have congested price action. But we haven't seen that. You get what I mean? But yeah, currently on the dollar index, just want to give you guys an update. As you've seen last time, we are currently on this monthly supply, right? And supply is currently in control, even though it's a counter trade movement, but that's what we're working with right now. Assuming that price continues to push higher, this is our area of liquidity. But we'll talk about that when price gets to that point. Let's go to the lower time frame. I want you guys to note that there are equal highs here. Our obstacle is that weekly zone that is currently in control. I don't necessarily think it's a strong zone, but because it's in control and it's nested, I think we should give it the respect that it deserves. So unless the market breaks through it, we can't necessarily trade against it. You get what I mean? You can't make the assumption that it doesn't make sense that you are on a high time frame supply, but you are buying. You get it? So because high time frame zones are in control, what should we be looking for on lower time frames? A change of structure. So if we go to the lower time frame, I remember telling you guys in the group, the Telegram group, that the market is creating accumulation and it will go to that supply, right? It will break to the upside, but do not buy the breakout. As you can see right here, we did get a breakout to the upside. So the reason why I told you guys not to buy the breakout is because this could be an AMD. So an AMD, as I've spoken about it in depth in my other videos, is literally just a period where we have an accumulation of orders, right? An induction, luring retail traders. So because we have this breakout, a lot of retail traders have incentive to take out buys, right? Because of that induction, the market goes into an area where a lot of retail traders have their orders, and then they stop out the buys. So I told you guys not to buy because that is what could be happening, right? If really we were in a bias situation, the least we should do is at least wait for the market to break through this level, right? So currently we are on this daily supply, which is nested within the weekly zone, and we got a rejection from that daily level. So what I think should happen is, I think the market should at least, I mean, I don't necessarily think that this is our buy opportunity yet because of all of the other things that I've spoken about. But if we do get a strong bullish, a strong bearish candlestick going low, right, I think we might have potential to sell and take profit on this next area of liquidity, right? So this is where we have liquidity. So we had liquidity on both sides, but this liquidity got taken out, right? So yeah, these are my sentiments on the dollar index. As you all know, if we do get a drop below that area of liquidity, this is my take profit because that's the only area where I see an imbalance, right? We also have liquidity right here, but going to the upside, we have a lot of efficiency. So yeah, this is an update on the dollar index. Let's just wait and see what the market has in store for us. Let's move on to EURUSD. So about 2 weeks ago, I made an intensive breakdown on EURUSD, which I'm not going to get into this week. So if you want to get an in-depth analysis on EURUSD, make sure that you check out that video. But basically, we have this demand that is in control. And like I said, on the other pairs, right, even though it's counter trend, the fact that it's in control and the fact that it's still valid means you shouldn't ignore it, right? You should only have a change of sentiment if the market breaks through that level, right? We also have another area of liquidity where if we get a drop, we could have a situation where the market taps into this liquidity before going up. You understand? But then that's another scenario. So demand is in control. We had a week, we had a huge rejection, but the market was still bearish. And that's why you see that this month price went down to fill this week right here. So if you go to the weekly, you'll see that we have equal lows right here, but that also weekly demand is in control. You get what I mean? So unless the market breaks that level, there is no incentive. Like this zone is the one that's valid. So it's in control. I understand that we have to also understand that this might not necessarily hold because of this accumulation. And what comes with that accumulation is the fact that we have liquidity right here that hasn't been tapped into. So the market definitely has incentive to go a bit lower before changing direction, right? Also take into account the fact that we have this congested price action on this zone, right? Because with ideal zones, you have a strong departure and a strong arrival. But this demand is still in control. And if you're in a situation where higher time frame levels are in control, right, what should you wait for on lower time frames to get your confirmation? You should wait for a change of sentiment. So that's what I'm looking for right now. If you go to daily, that's where I'm at right now, right? Currently looking for a reversal. So this is a nested demand zone, which is obviously not a strong zone, so I'm not going to highlight it. But currently, we are at a point where even the sellers are losing steam. We at least have a favor gap there. What I'm waiting for, what I'm looking for, to confirm that indeed, because the higher time frame levels are in control, we should have a change. Right? What I'm waiting for is a change of sentiment. So the first breakout that I'm going to be looking for is the break above the equal highs, which you will see if you go to the lower time frame, the 4-hour. So I'm waiting for a breakout above with a strong impulsive candlestick. And then I'm going to take profits here. And then if we can break above this opposing supply, if you can break above it, then I'm more bullish. And we've already talked about my targets on this setup. But yeah, that's what I see on Euro USD. Let's go to another pair. Right. I have here another update. Now we're on AUDCAD. I'm just going to chop through quickly. Also here, I'm not going to go into detail. So as you can see right here, we've grabbed liquidity and then we have this low right here. So if If we break through that low, it means you're going to have a change of sentiment. And if we do have a change of sentiment, I'm going to wait for an order block, and this is the next zone. Remember, my overall or my long-term bias on this pair is actually bullish, right? Just want to highlight this. But we have a fair value gap that I want us to fill, right? We definitely can't be buying from the zone because, I mean, in as much as it's valid, we have a lot of price action on that. So I want to see price going lower. I want to see price going lower and giving us an order at discount. And that's when I'm be willing to buy. As you can see right now, we're taking this liquidity, and where did we go? Into this supply zone, right? But above that supply zone, we still have other orders to fill. We still have, if you zoom out, we still have other orders to fill. All right. So price still has a long distance to travel. Also, based on what we saw, like we saw a clear change of sentiment on the long journey to travel before I can say that I'm giving up entirely on the uptrend. You get what I mean? And also we have this area of liquidity right here, which I believe the market will take out eventually. So we have liquidity right here. And you can see, man, you can see like leading up to this point, we had this flow, right? And then we had this breaker right here where we had a clear change of sentiment. So even how like the downtrend was not smooth, I feel like we should expect the same thing with the uptrend. I don't think the uptrend should be that smooth. You understand? I'm not sure if I'm making sense, but for someone out there, I hope and I know that they get what I'm talking about. You understand? So yeah, this is an update on AUDCAD. I'm going to give you guys updates in the group. But yeah, other than that, the market has been really slow. Still holding CAD-JPY. I'm holding NZD-JPY. I'm holding NZD-CHF. And I don't have other trades open. So yeah, man, it's very, very tricky times. But we stick to what we know. If you stuck with us till this point, thank you for watching. Please subscribe because I've seen the analytics and 70% of you who watch this breakdowns aren't subscribers. So please subscribe. I'll see you guys in another video. Peace.